Hey guys, this is Smriti. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is yet another dupe video. We're going to dupe Makeup by Mario's the newest palette, and it is called the Ethereal Eyes eyeshadow palette. It retails at $68 and you can find it on makeupbymario.com right now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come to Sephora also. Now this is a limited edition palette and I know that the price is like definitely hiked up as compared to his like previous palettes, which was I would say it was like in 40s and this is like 68, so it's a huge price increase. But it can also be because of the shimmers that are included in this palette. Now I'm just gonna dupe the shades, not the formula, because I remember him saying in his story that it is basically like a new formula in the market, which is like a glossy shimmer. I don't know how I feel about it. Is it gonna be like that Huda Beauty sticky gloss kind of a shimmer, or is it gonna be like shimmers from like the Patrick Ta palette? I'm hoping it's gonna be like leaning towards the Patrick Ta palette. But yes, I have a few palettes in front of me which absolutely can dupe the shades from the Makeup by Mario palette if you are just eyeing that. And let me be very honest, I mean, I duped the shades and I swatched it here. I mean, I'll show you a close-up of all of these things. But let's first dive into the palette. This palette basically has 7 mattes and 5 shimmers. And you can see it's like the color story is very, very neutral. It's rosy brown color story, leaning towards the lighter tone. But you can deepen it out with like the extreme last shade in the palette, which marks by Mario. Now he marks all these shades in the form of EE1 to EE12. Just because I feel like EE comes from Ethereal Eyes. So it's very straightforward. So let's dive right into the swatches. And I'll be very honest, I feel like if you have like any one of these palettes, you can definitely get the vibes of the palette. Now, if you do have this MAC's Nude Model Art Library palette, I feel like the color story is pretty dang close. You guys tell me, I feel like it's very, very close. You can get to the rosy brown tones out of this palette. But even better, if you do have the Too Faced, the Natural Nudes palette, I mean, this is very, very close except the gray tone that is there in the Makeup by Mario palette. Am I right or am I right? I feel like this would get you very, very close to that color story. But if you do not have any of these palettes, and if you do have the Going Coconuts palette from Colourpop, I feel like this is a much more concise color story, but very, very similar tones to the Makeup by Mario one. So let's start duping the shades. I'll go row by row. So E1 to E4 first. The first 4 shades are all from this palette. The first shade is duped by the shade Swan. The second shade is duped by the shade Shimmering Pearl. The third shade is duped by the shade Seashell. And the fourth shade is duped by the shade Cocoa, this one. So this one, and then Cocoa, this one. So let's start swiping. Again, I'm duping the color story, not the formula. So do keep that in mind. I really don't feel like this is like a unique color story by any means, but maybe the formula is. So that is the first row swatched for you guys. And this palette, like the Too Faced Natural Nudes palette, has come in very, very handy for all the nudie palette swatch, like dupe shadows. So I would say this is like a very, very useful palette. Let's move on to the second row. In the second row, the first shade is duped by Nude. The second shade is duped by Sparkling Sand. The third shade is duped by Warm Rose. And the fourth shade is actually duped by the Going Coconuts palette. And the shade is Duck Cocoa. I mean, you can dupe a lot of shades from this and the MAC palette. I'm just like sticking to one palette as much as I can. So let's do that. So that is the second row swatched for you guys. A very neutral gray pink leaning color story, I would say. Really, really pretty. Look at the shine. Now let's move on to the final row. This is going to be a quick video because I'm not going to do like I look using this palette, because you've seen me like use these palettes several times on my channel. So for the third row, the first shade that I'm going to dupe it with is the shade Maple. The second shade, I'm going to dupe it with this shade, which is Palm Reader from the Going Coconuts palette. The third shade, I'm going to dupe it with this gray shimmer shade, like the silver shimmer shade, I would say. And then the last shade is again from the Natural Notes palette, and the shade is called Truffle. So let's watch that. So that is the last row swatched for you guys. Really pretty color story, but is it unique is my question for $68. I don't feel like it's that unique that I need to like spend my $68 on this palette, especially again, it is a limited edition palette, so it's gone. When it is gone, it's gone. It's not gonna come back. And if I am getting a redundant color story, which I'm not gonna get it for sure, I am waiting for like a unique color story from Makeup by Mario. I love Makeup by Mario. You guys know that. I mean, I'm a big fan of his products. That I'm actually wearing his lipstick today, but I'm such a big fan of him and his work. So I am very excited for this route that he's going. I feel like the price is definitely on the pricier side. I feel like if it was like in that 40s like the previous time, even if with like the price inflation, if it was like $48 to $50, I feel like people would be more interested in it. Right now, people are like so about it. Again, I don't know the formula. So it's all about that, I feel like. So that's all. I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys. So if you were like eyeing the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, I could give you like a comparison palettes to get like a similar vibe from. And if you did like this video, I really hope that you will consider subscribing to this channel and like this video. And I generally do upload like 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.